The parade of Marvel movies is continuing through this summer and into this winter. One of the new films coming out in a winter or in November is Doctor Strange. There was a new trailer released recently, and while I enjoyed it a lot, it left me to wonder if maybe it was a little confusing or there's just a lot going on visually there, and it tells you nothing at all about what's happening or who Doctor Strange is. Not that I'd expect it to, but I thought it might be a little confusing to some people who are not familiar with Doctor Strange or what his story is. So I thought it might be a good idea to kind of do a primer of sorts for those people who are coming in new to the Doctor Strange story. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because I am personally a big Doctor Strange fan, but only recently. I've only found him in the last maybe couple years. There was a film out in 2007 called Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme. It was an animated film back before, the whole Marvel thing blew up. And I enjoyed it a lot. I really enjoyed it. I saw this about, like I said, maybe 2 years ago. And I had never heard of Doctor Strange. And I just thought he had kind of an interesting look. And, I wanted to know more about him. Knowing that we're probably going to be seeing him later on. Because, the Marvel thing was picking up steam. Now, before I continue, if you're looking to go into the new Doctor Strange movie coming out in November with a clean slate, if you don't know anything, then this might get a little spoilery because I'm going to tell you a little bit of his backstory. And the movie coming out is an origin story for Doctor Strange. So we're going to find out, before he became who he is and afterward. But to be clear, it's nothing that you can't already discover on your own via the film, the 2007 film, and any comic books that they've been making Doctor Strange comic books for a couple decades now at least. So, it's not like this is, I'm really giving anything away. You can just go to your comic book store right now and find out more about him, which is what I did actually, which is why I'm doing this video. Now, we'll start with the 2007 film, the animated film, Sorcerer Supreme. It's a great beginning to knowing more about Doctor Strange because it is an origin story. We get to find out that, that he was a brain surgeon, and that, something happens to him. Actually, let me say this. One of the reasons why I love Doctor Strange, or his character, is that I love to see characters go from one, one place in their life and watch their story change dramatically to another. Doctor Strange was a huge egomaniac. He had the God complex. He was a brain surgeon, world-renowned brain surgeon. He was, his people's lives were in his hands on a regular basis. And then he gets into a car accident, loses his hands are damaged in the car accident, and he cannot find anybody to heal him, basically. And he's lost. He's lost his sense of self. He's lost his reason for living. Everything that he was tied up in his hands. And he goes through this whole, poor me thing, and everybody's just trying to, go on, pick up your life or whatever. He's like, no, I have no life if I cannot perform brain surgery. Which, of course, is ridiculous, but, we get it, right? We all get, we go through bouts like that. So he goes on this trek to find a cure for his hands, fix his hands, and he winds up in Tibet. And it's kind of like a Matrix type thing where, he is taught and learned that the world that we live in is not, necessarily the world that it has to be. You can experience a different world. And without going into too much detail, he learns how to become the Sorcerer Supreme. One of the world's greatest magicians. They do refer to him as magicians in the books, and I think in the film as well. But he's a sorcerer. Actual spells. He's casting spells with his hands. It's for this reason that I like to compare him or consider him a cross between Harry Potter and maybe Tony Stark. Now Harry Potter because Doctor Strange is a chosen one. He was brought into Tibet. He didn't find it on his own. Well, he did, but they had been following him and tracking him and sort of like, maybe pushing him in this direction. The people in Tibet, the people who train sorcerers, I guess. But anyway, he's like a chosen one magician type, which obviously Harry Potter, right? And then he's Tony Stark because of the ego and the fact that he likes to chase women. And he's got kind of a smart ass, a little bit like that. So, those two those two personalities combined is the best possible description that I could think of. It's funny though because in the comic, in the most recent comic that they're doing, Last Days of Magic, the one girl that he hooks up with winds up being the sort of half plant, half woman thing from another dimension. But still, he hooked up. And actually, that's when I heard that Benedict Cumberbatch was cast as Doctor Strange. He looks like him in what we've seen in throughout the comics and in the 2007 film. He kind of looks like him. He's got that same sort of regal quality to him, which Doctor Strange clearly has. That's when I wanted to know more, and that's when I started getting into the books and reading. Well, what I'm reading now is The Last Days of Magic. I'd actually just finished, or am I finishing? No, I've got one more issue to go. Anyway, I digress. Last Days of Magic. I enjoy this a lot, and that's actually what I want to talk about most of all. Is I want to take you through a little bit of the books to show you what it is about this particular series, this character that I prefer over just about anything else in the Marvel, in the Marvel books. So right off the bat, the first issue, the cover of the first issue, really grabbed me because it's got this cool, image of Doctor Strange, and he's wielding this axe, and a magician, an axe-wielding magician, kind of blows my mind a little bit. Look at this. Look, this is what it's all about right here. Is this art? This is the very first panel. It's a 2-page panel, and it's him doing battle with that half woman, half plant beast thing that I was talking about before. And you'll notice that, and this is one of the things that I like about the books as opposed to the film. You'll notice that he's not really. It's not a fight. He's casting a spell. I'm not sure what the spell is, but he's casting a spell on the plant. Whereas in the film, the book lets you get away from some of the common tropes that we find in superhero movies, and that is of ultra violence. There's a lot of combat in these things. It's all about how muscular the superheroes are and how much ass they can kick. And Doctor Strange isn't muscular, and he doesn't kick any ass, really. His is a battle of wits. And in the film, in the 2007 film, even though I really liked it a lot, one of the first things we see in this, they have this like band of super or like Avengers type sorcerers. It's a group of 5 or 6 sorcerers doing battle against this beast that I can't remember. It was running through the streets. It was like a giant, I don't know what it was, but it was just a beast. It was a beast running loose in the city of New York. And rather than casting spells, they were hitting it, punching it, and hitting it with a spear and a sword. And I was thinking, well, these are, do your thing or whatever. But I get why they do that because animation and film is very much a visual medium, and it doesn't pack. It's hard to deliver the message with a spell in a film, and hopefully we get a departure from that in this film, in the upcoming live action film with Benedict Cumberbatch. By the way, I should say that the trailer kind of alludes to this a little bit because the trailer itself is very Inception-y. There's a scene where they fold the city in on itself, which is obviously we've seen in Inception, and I'm hoping that they don't get into that trope of just him beating things up with his fist, because obviously that's not what Strange does, and that's why I like Doctor Strange. By the way, I also love the fact that he wears what looks like Doc Martens. Isn't that cool? So the style of the books. Here's the plant woman beast thing. The style of the art is very, very cool. They do a lot of single panel pages. Your eyes get to wander throughout the whole page, and you get to pick things up and look for little nuances and things like that. And I enjoy that quite a bit, and I hope that you will too. That's this book, the first issue is a great way to is a great introduction to Doctor Strange, in that we get to see him at work, real quick, and then we get to see him. What he's doing actually is he's in the mind. He fights in other dimensions. He doesn't fight in our reality, although sometimes the stuff that's happening is happening in our reality, and only he can see it. And he's doing battle that we cannot tell. We cannot see. Nothing is happening as far as we know. But anyway, he's in the mind of this young child who's had an other dimensional beast try to take over his mind, and that's where he's doing his battle. And it's touching because he does all this by all accounts for nothing. And he's just somebody says, hey, I heard that maybe you could help me because there's something, my kid is possessed or whatever, and maybe I heard that you kind of handle that kind of thing. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll help you out. And that's pretty much it. That's what the Doctor Strange does, is he protects our universe from other dimensions without us even knowing it. It's a thankless job. And for a guy who started out with the huge ego that he did, and being kind of a jerk a little bit, and not caring really, it was more about the medicine and the money than it was about the actual healing and the helping. And now he's sort of this selfless, Avenger of sorts, because he does actually wind up joining the Avengers, which is another interesting sidebar, because how he fits in there is interesting to me, and I'm looking forward to that. But he's turned into this selfless Avenger, interdimensional Avenger that really appeals to me a great deal. People who are able to go through life and learn something and change and stop being a jerk. And I've talked about this before, and they've stopped being a jerk and they've learned how to give of themselves, to love unconditionally, and to be selfless and to do things for others. That is in large part why I love his character so much and why I love the book so much, because in particular Last Days of Magic, it's all about him once again coming to grips with taking responsibility for some of the stuff that he's done, even in his selfless acts as a Sorcerer Supreme. He's discovering things about himself, and he's taking responsibility for his role in the current state of doom that they're facing in Last Days of Magic. All right, I don't want to get too much into the Doctor Strange story, the books, or the film. I just want to encourage people to give this movie a look, because I know he's not like what we're used to with Marvel films, which is a good thing. It's a very good thing. Not to say that I don't like Marvel films, but if you're sick of Chris Evans looking impossibly perfect as Captain America, give Doctor Strange a look. Check out the most recent books, or you can you know what, I've been told to go look at The Oath. That's probably a good place to start. Also, it's a trade, or it's a paperback from the comic books. I don't know how long ago it is, but you can get the whole story in a single book. The Oath, Doctor Strange, The Oath. Check that one out. I've got that coming today, I think, through Amazon, and I'm really looking forward to reading that. But otherwise, yeah, you know what? Just go in with an open mind and be ready to be amazed at how cool his character can be. And we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Fresh baked! We've got lots more videos for you to see, so grab a churro and check out our Star Wars Land updates from the Knothole Gang, or maybe our Secrets in History videos. Or you can just watch all of our weekly trip reports and have your mind blown by how much fun we're having. We truly are the best of Disney Bake Fresh Daily. And don't forget, you can support Fresh Baked by joining our Patreon campaign or by buying a Fresh Baked t-shirt. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Fresh Baked!